Now, back in the Buddha's day, learning was a very big part of that culture. And they had a very particular way of doing it. Now, just like the way we are nowadays, people back then were like people nowadays. We love to gossip. It's just so much fun to sit down with all your friends and just gossip. And say, well, this is what they said, this is what he said, this is what she said. Did you hear about what he did? Did you hear about what she did? It's just so much fun. But here's the difference, is that back in those days, the way that they would do it is that all the monks would get together in the big hall, the big chanting hall, after food or before the sermon or before they had important things to do, and they would talk. But instead of what they would talk about, they wouldn't gossip about other people. What they would talk about is, they would talk about themselves. You know, today I was walking down this thing and I saw this and I got really angry and I'm really upset. Can you guys help me figure out why I'm stupid? Why am I so angry at something so silly? And the other people would say, well, I don't know about you, but I usually get mad at things like this, and I found out that I'm silly because of this. And so it was a thing where people back then would get together and gossip about themselves and their mistakes and their anger and their silliness and their attachments. Or they would discuss things like, hey, I don't know if I want to be a monk anymore, I kind of miss my wife, what do you think? And the people would say, don't be silly, you know, you came to this life for a certain reason. And they would give him advice. They would give him examples from their own lives to help each other. And when they had a problem and they couldn't figure it out, well then finally they would go to the teacher, or they would go to the Buddha. And the Buddha would tell them a story. And you know what stories the Buddha would tell them? Same thing. He would tell them stories from his own past life or from your past life, because he could see it. And so, what is the basic technique of practicing Buddhism then? Plain and simply is accepting who you are and learning about who you are. We're allowed to gossip as long as it's about you and for the purpose of learning, not for the purpose of selling someone out or embarrassing someone, but for the purpose of learning. And this is the way they practiced back in the Buddha's day. But if we look at the way we practice nowadays, it's completely different. What do we do nowadays? We go to the temple and we all sit in a different corner, close our eyes, and meditate. We're not allowed to talk, we're not allowed to make any sounds, and we're not allowed to communicate. And if we do, we have to pretend to say the good things that we are, brag about how good we are. And if there's anything bad, we deny it. Or if someone accuses you of something, you make excuses. This is how far we've come from the old days of Buddhism. And that's why back then, people were getting enlightened every day, all the time. But nowadays, it's far and few between. So what can we do? What can we do to improve ourselves, to bring it back to the old days, the old ways of Buddhism? Well, one of the most important things is that you have to find the right community, the right friends. Because back then, if you hung out with the bad monks, you were probably going to do bad things. But if you hung out with the good monks, they probably weren't going to let you get away with doing bad things. So that's why one of the key things that Buddha taught about was how to be a good friend. The way to be a good friend is this. When someone does bad, you tell them they're bad. When someone does good, you tell them they're good. When that person's far away, you protect that person's name and their reputation. When that person's far away, you protect their things and don't let their things get stolen or destroyed. This is a good friend. A friend that helps you when you're in trouble, but also rejoices with you when you're happy. Teaches you when you need to be taught. Listens to you when you need someone to listen to. These are good friends. But what are bad friends? Bad friends are when you do evil, they do it with you. When you do good, they don't want any part of it. Bad friends are the ones where when you do something bad, they say, it's okay, buddy, it's okay, my friend, you'll get over it, it'll be fine. They let you get away with it. But when you do something good, whatever. These are bad friends. So we have to be able to tell the difference and communicate with good friends. Good friends are those that will get you better, make you better. Think about playing sports. When you're playing sports as a kid, no matter whatever country you play in, what do your parents teach you? What do the sports people teach you, the coaches? Should you go play with younger kids who don't know how to play? Like, should you play with kids who can't even hold a tennis racket or a tennis ball? Will you get better by training with them? No. They always tell you, find someone who's better than you and learn from them. Challenge them. practice with them so that you become better. It's the only way to improve. You do not improve from playing with people who are worse than you. And so that's what we must do. One, we must find a good community so that we can join a good community and work together to improve ourselves. Two, we must not be afraid of who we are. Our mistakes are what define us as human beings. They tell us who we are. And three, be good friends to other people. Learn from the people who are good friends from us in order for us to improve. This is what it means to be a Buddhist back then, and it actually still means the same today. It's just a matter of whether or not we will do it. So I want to say thank you for everyone for coming today and rejoice with you in the merit that you've done here today.